All right, everybody. My next guest is a veteran comedian who performs all over the United States and even in Ireland. He appears regularly at McGuire's Comedy Club right here in Bohemia. And he's also the owner of Black Duck Tattoo Company in Selden and has nearly 30 years experience as a tattoo artist. Here he is, everybody, Rob White. Rob, how's it going, man?
Good, good. Thanks. Glad to be here at the show. We were just talking like a second ago about the background here, and I wish I had a blank wall in my house, but you have like the best background ever. Like, how did you, that's not real, right? I'm correct.
Right. This is the set of Wayne's World. So
that's what it is. Oh, the whole time I'm like, it's that 70s show. I'm like, nah, there's a shark there. I don't know what I know it's something. Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah, dude. So once we all went into COVID and we went lockdown and we started doing the shows from home and we discovered Zoom and everything, I said, I didn't like my regular background. So I said, oh, you know what? I'll do an homage to like the original podcasters, like the OGs, threw up Wayne's World back there.
Oh, that was so good. Yeah, they had like that, what do you want to call it? Like a cable access type show that
was
supposed to be. That's so good.
You are watching Cable 10, Aurora, Illinois Community Access Channel.
Damn.
But I dig yours. You have that whole vibe going like that. Looks like the Joe Biden set with the two red bars.
I don't know what this is. And my lights, for whatever reason today, it's an apartment. They're like going dim and then bright and then dim again. I don't know if you noticed that over there. I do pay my electric bill, but it looks like something's wrong. I'm not going to try to figure it out today,
No, man, I appreciate you taking the time to do this. I know you're busy, man, between the tattooing schedule and comedy. Where do you find the time to do anything, man? You're like always going, huh?
Oh, yeah, no, but I like it that way. I'm just hustling every day, I mean, tattooing I've done for my whole life. I started doing that when I was 13 years old. My father tattoos. He owns, Cliff's Tattoo out here on the island. So he's had that since the 80s. And
Cliff's is like legendary. Where is Cliff's? That's like a legendary spot.
Yeah, he had 5 shops for a while. So they were all over the island. And now it's just one giant shop in Center Reach. And I love him dearly. He's a good guy, but if you've ever had to work with your parents, work with your father, it's not a very fun time. So after 20 some odd years of doing it, me and my wife tattoos as well. It's a whole family affair. So we both opened up the Black Duck, my own little shop, and just been enjoying it. But I did comedy when I was younger in my 20s, and I missed it. It's an addiction. You do it, and then it just gets into your blood. And so I did it from like 25 to 30. And then a couple of years ago, about a year and a half, I should say, I was like, I got to go back.
Oh, so you're just getting back in after like a hiatus.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah. Like, I did it like as much as possible for 5 years. So about 30, I stopped. And then, people just are like, hey, you're going to get back up? You're going to go out? Like, no, I'm done. And then you do one show and it's like drugs. It's a drug that you just chase. So now I'm back full time, just going as hard as I can, trying to get back to all the places I used to go, and then keep on going beyond that.
Yeah, that's awesome because I do remember you from back in the day doing comedy. I wonder, I did comedy very briefly and it wasn't very good, but so that's why I'm not doing stand up now. But I did it like in the late 90s to like the early 2000s. So I wonder were you doing comedy then? I wonder if we crossed paths then, or is
I stopped at I feel like I started like 2005 and stopped at 2010. So doing the Gateway basement there with Mike over there, the Comfort Inn and fire department shows and McGuire's when John Ryerson was there. It was a lot,
Yeah, that's when I did comedy, was the John Ryerson days, and that was my main club at the time, was McGuire's, because I'm a Suffolk guy. I'm born and raised Brentwood. Now I'm out here in Manorville. So
okay. Oh yeah, you're Eastern Suffolk now. All right. There's a lot of us out here. People always discount Suffolk, like, oh, if you're not from like Nassau, Queens, it's not really where you're from. But you guys are out here. I got one buddy, Joe Winchell's in Sag Harbor. How far is that, right?
That's further than I am, yeah, because Sag Harbor is probably about like 30, like about a half hour or so from where I am right now. Like, so I'm like Manorville, like West Hampton, Riverhead, in between there. So like he's even further out. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got to drive, but a lot of guys are from out that way now, so it's good. Long Island produces a ton of excellent comics, I think, because proximity to New York City, and also the fact that we're not New York City. We have our own identity at the same time, so I love it.
That's what I like. And I see too, like you said about Nassau County talking shit all the time about Suffolk County, and I'm like, are you kidding me? To me, Suffolk County is where it's at. It's way better. Like, to me,
Yeah.
we got so much more here on this.
We have to try harder, and I think also the fact that it makes us a little more diverse, because New York City can say, oh, we're very diverse, this and that, but they don't have farms and vineyards and beaches and lighthouses. Like, we have a very mixed bag of people, culturally and ethnically and all that.
Yeah, like I said, we have the farm people, then you got the beach people, all the different types of culture going on out here too. Yeah.
It makes it relatable. So yeah, if you got to do some place out in Nebraska, like, yeah, they don't understand the subway because they don't have a subway, that's it. So
Right.
it's good. We can relate to a little bit of everything. I think that's why, I mean, if you look at Long Island, we've probably produced, I think you even didn't you do like a list of the top comedians from Long Island on one of your episodes? Where you
Yeah.
did,
Oh, yeah. We do the top fives, and I've done top fives, and also used to write for Good Times magazine. And then I put together this is back in the day, and I put together a whole list of Long Islanders that came out of here. I mean, it's incredible how many great comedians came out of this place.
I mean, legendary even to this day. I mean, you got guys out there now like, Tim Dillon and Kevin James, but you could take it back all the way to Lenny Bruce and Rodney Dangerfield, Rosie O'Donnell, Eddie Murphy. It just keeps going.
Yeah, man. Yeah, a lot of people forget that Lenny Bruce was from here. I think was he from Medford or something like that, or Seaford? No, Medford, I think.
Medford,
Yeah, if I don't remember. Oh no, maybe it was Roslyn. I'll.
Yeah, I think he was a Nassau County guy.
Yeah,
but
and we know Rodney was from Babylon town.
Yeah, he's got. I think they have a statue of him there. Someone told me they have a statue, and I'm amazed by that. I have to.
They haven't built it yet. I talked with the guy who's trying to get it all together, and he's been having issues with the town. Like, they don't want to. They wanted to put, that lake over there in Babylon Village. There's that lake with the little waterfalls. They wanted to put it there, and there's a lot of pushback from the mayor or whatever. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So he's trying to now find another place to put it, maybe on the property of like this restaurant that's out there. So, but
have such an issue with that. He's a great comedian. He wasn't even it wasn't like it was, Lenny Bruce, where you could be like, hey, he was a little dirty, or George Carlin. It's right. Everybody from little kids to adults love him. Whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what the issue entirely is, if it was all money, but this guy's trying to fundraise and get the statue built. That whole statue thing started. I can't think of the guy's name, man. He used to call me all the time. He had an epiphany about it, about Rodney, and then Rodney spoke to him in a dream and all this stuff, and then he woke. Yeah, because the guy who's taking this whole thing on, he works for the LIRR. He's a train guy like his whole life.
He's not a conductor, is he? Like, because that's kind of scary.
I don't think he's a conductor. I think he actually works on the on the rail. Like, he works, like, builds them out, like, and repairs them and stuff.
And like Rodney's talking to him.
Rodney came out, and this guy has a really good relationship with Rodney's wife, and that's how he helped set it off. So once that guy got in touch with Rodney's wife, that helped catapult this thing, and put a lot of credibility behind it. And then he's been trying to push it for the last couple of years. And now I'm going to follow up and see how he's doing with it. I haven't talked to him in about maybe 6 months or so.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. That's such a cool thing. I mean, even if they're doing like fundraising or what for that, I mean, I'm sure that the local comedy scene should, I mean, or would absolutely be a part of that, because I mean, that's so cool to have something like a statue of a comic. You don't
That'd
really
be awesome.
see, do you know? I don't really know. I know there's a Jackie Gleason statue outside of the Port Authority, but he's not really a stand-up comic. I don't know of any other comics that have statues. Do you? Like, that's
no, I'm trying to think. I think there should be more of them. Yeah. I think because comedy's been so important in our in our culture throughout, time, is modern time especially. But I'm trying to think, like you would think like Will Rogers or somebody like that might have a statue, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
that makes sense. They usually have a plaque for him anywhere he's performed. That's always been a very big thing. The what do you call it, theater out in Riverhead? I know he performed at, and there was a little sign for him. Vale Levitt Theater, I think is
Oh
the one.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But yeah, comedy statues. Like we don't really get anything, There is no stand-up comedy hall of fame. Am I correct? I don't think.
There's a comedy museum now. I don't think there's an official stand-up comedy hall of fame yet, but there's a comedy museum upstate New York, wherever Lucille Ball was from.
Oh, they have a comedy festival too for that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and there's also a Lucy Museum nearby as well. So, but this is where they made this comedy museum, and I want to go there, man. It's supposed to be really super cool too. You go in there and you fill out like on the computer the kind of comedy you like, what kind of comedians, and it gives you a unique tour to see the things you like. So if you're really into cringe humor or something like that, you just type that in, and all of a sudden you'll go through. All right, here's Lenny Bruce, and here's George Carlin, and Richard Pryor. Take you that way.
Cool. Like, but that is insane. Like, yeah, I am surprised now that I say it out loud. There's a music hall of fame. There's about 20 different music hall of fame: country music, bluegrass, regular, hip hop. There's a basketball hall of fame, a baseball, stand-up comedy, one of the most influential art forms that we've ever had, and yet there's no hall of fame.
It's weird. The closest we might have to that might be that Mark Twain Awards, but I don't.
Yeah, that's true.
But I don't know if they actually have like a building or something where they, because I think that would be cool too. Like if you look at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it's like almost like a museum. I don't know if you've ever been there in Ohio.
No, but
dude, it's pretty cool. But I would love for them to, like the comedy museum that they have is similar to that. Maybe they could put a wing for the Hall of Fame in there and have all.
Yeah, I mean, the closest thing I can think of off the top of my head is I know Governors has that wall inside when you first walk into Governors on the right side, where it's all the local comedians that have ever done, and that's kind of how I learned, like, oh, Lenny Bruce and certain people I had no idea. And you look at it, you're like, oh, okay, all right, yeah. Andy Kaufman, I think Andy Kaufman's
and Andy Kaufman was from Plainview, I think.
Yeah.
The
Mount Rushmore of comics really is from Long Island. They would like to say New York, but really, who lives in New York? Everyone's a transplant to the city, except for maybe Brooklyn and Bronx and Queens.
The only one that truly was that I know off the top, who's great, legend, who's born and raised in New York, would be Carlin, right? He was, but all the rest of them, like you said, they're either Queens, like Romano's Queens, and then so many Long Island comics, man, born and raised here. There's something in the water, man.
I think it's where that proximity to the city, but yet we're so diverse out here, It's even like our politics. Like if you go to like the Midwest, like the Republicans out there are right wing, and you go to like New York City, the Democrats are really left wing. And even out here, like our Republicans are like, they're a little Democrat. The Democrats are a little Republican. So it's very like
all in the middle. Yeah, we're all exactly.
Yeah, it's just so provides that sense of like, okay, I'm not going to go too left or too right. I'm going to keep things so I can relate to everybody. At least that's what I see from the comics out here. So,
dude, it's funny you say that because sometimes you feel like you're like, for me, I feel like I'm right wing, and then I meet like these really right wing people, and I'm like, wow, maybe.
It's true. It's like, okay, I'll be right wing, whatever. But then you're like, well, wait a minute, abortion? Like, oh, all right, maybe it's a woman's choice, and gay marriage. Like, well, I don't care who gets married. So you're like, oh yeah, there is a.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
A Long Island Republican is not a right-wing fundamentalist. It's a funny, but that's what makes our comedy, I think, work well, because you can relate to everybody. You could kind of see the different sides of things where, I'll watch a New York City comic and they just start talking. I'm like, not everyone knows about that.
Right. Yeah.
You think you're talking to a large group of people, and in New York City you are, but like there are people in Ohio who don't even know what transgender is. It's lexicon,
And that's why some of the comics that come in from the city and like play governors or something, they don't always do well with our audience here, because our audience is it isn't like in the city, that's coming from all over the place, all different countries, all different walks of life.
Yeah.
Here, it's just, like kind of local, salt of the earth people, and sometimes that comedy, I wouldn't say goes over their head, but they get not into it, so they don't land right.
Very, very specific, and you just like, I don't know, or even the references too. They're like, oh, when you're at Wegmans, then you have to eat gluten free. When you get, and you're like, what's Wegmans? What are we talking about? What's going on? Supermarkets and I don't know, little things.
Now, when you go to like Ireland or different countries to perform, do you have to you cater to, like we're talking about going from New York to Long Island, but if you go to another country, you have to like get all your how do you prep for that as far as getting your set ready?
You never know. I mean, it's been a while since I went over to Dublin, but when I was over there, I just remember you have to ask about references constantly, like on the road, even too, when you're out here, like supermarket in the city is different than it's going to be in Pennsylvania, and so on and so forth. But over in Ireland, like, just words, they'll use different words, and you just kind of have to start to ask around. And
fucking cops, though. Everyone hates the cops. No matter where you go, everyone hates the cops. And everyone hates the English, right? Isn't that true, the English? That's right. Fuck the English. Where are you bastards, huh? Oh, there you are, over there, here, yeah. Holy shit. Let me ask you a question now. What is it? If you can't like conquer and colonize the country, you're just gonna throw stag parties and fuck it all up? Is that what it is? Right? You're like a bunch of drunken Viking pirates just wandering through Temple Bar, pissing and shitting on everything, right?
Oh, I had one bomb that was just great when I was in Dublin. This lady, it was during the Bush administration. She just kept yelling out like, F Bush, F Bush. And I'm like, lady, my act has nothing to do with the president. I'm not here representing the country. And she kept it up. And then I made a reference to be funny. I was like, yeah, F Bush. They haven't put out a good song since Glycerine. And it was crickets. And I was like, Machine Head. They did Machine Head. It was crickets. I'm like, okay. Nobody knows who the band Bush is. It was a weird, stupid play on words. And I got off, and it was who was it? It was this comedian Jim McHugh was there from America.
I know Jim McHugh, Boston guy. Yeah.
And he's just like, hey, that was a great joke. I'm like, well, tell the audience they hated it. And he's like, oh, it's not you. It's like they don't know who Bush is. I'm like, how could they not? It was a British band. Like, they were right from the UK. And he's like, you're in Ireland. They hate the English. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's true. Okay, moving on, You start to change your little references to certain words and phrases. But, yeah, you're going to bomb somewhere. Say something stupid because.
Right on, man. Now, with you were doing comedy 05 to 2010, and now you just recently getting back into the game.
Yeah.
How has it changed now? I mean, I know the culture's moved around a little bit, gotten maybe a little more careful. Are you feeling that with your getting on stage now, or is it kind of the same? Or because it'd be cool to you would know the differences more than anybody because you performed in both and took that break, so you didn't, you might not have evolved with it.
Sure. I think it's way more sensitive now, but in a lot of ways, I think that's kind of been better because a lot of the stuff I think about what I used to do was kind of hacky. And now it's like, oh, no, you have to evolve. You have to be really clever. If you're going to do a joke that's going to be, sexist or seemingly racist, homophobic, anything that's going to be a little edgy, you have to be really good at it and clever. Where I think it was, back a few years, you could get away with hackier kind of stuff, I definitely feel like the comedy scene's way better now than it was back then. You had way less bookers, you had way less opportunity, way less comics too, but you had, only a few games in town out here, and that was it. And now if you're doing comedy, there's a room every night of the week. I try to get up almost every night, and the clubs are a little more receptive to getting you in and allowing you to move up. Yeah, comedy's changed, but I think it's for the better. More people, but you know what? Good. It makes it more competition. At least we're getting out there.
I was saying that too about the joke writing. I think it's you got to take the negatives with the positives, right? So if everyone's more sensitive, you got to worry about what you say, but it also makes you more of a craftsman, more of a wordsmith. Like you said, you're thinking through the joke more because you could maybe say the same joke that you would have said, 15 years ago, but now you're saying it in today's world, but now you had to maneuver it, rewrite it to fit. And I think that makes you a stronger joke writer. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know. I feel like a lot of stuff just got kind of phoned in and years ago, but now it's like, okay, we've heard that joke a million times. You're not edgy anymore. There's nothing edgy to your joke. You're just kind of being basic. So, and especially since there's so many more comedians, it's like you have to really keep up with writing. And also everything's happening so much faster. I heard someone say the other day, talking about writing a joke, and they see an incident and they're like, oh, that's a good one, and they write the joke, and then they go on Twitter and they see 10 versions of their joke already because everyone thought it, and it's already out there within minutes of the incident happening. The Will Smith slap, everyone had a Will Smith joke, everyone. So if you had a really good, clever joke, then you rose above the rest. And so that's why I think it is good. It's making you, like you said, being more of a wordsmith, being more of a craftsman to it.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah, man. Because like you said, too, there's probably a million of those balloon jokes already. And now you're like, oh, shit, I got to scratch those off and then go on. It's tough to write to real time nowadays.
Yeah.
You can't,
the people that write for like the monologues and stuff like that, I guess they can still write current event type jokes, but current events happen so quickly nowadays. I feel like something would happen and it lasted for a couple of days to a week years ago, where now, geez, a war is happening right now. The war in the Ukraine is happening, and we're almost like, it's last week's news.
Right. Even with the Ohio trains, it's like, that's old now.
Big stuff, like a train went off the tracks. People are like, yeah, but that was last week. So what are we on now? That was yesterday. It was yesterday. So it's just so quick, and then you write a joke, and your joke is already hacky within 45 minutes because Twitter and and Facebook and all that. So you really have to craft like the best, solid, long-lasting jokes that you can. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, man. Another thing I noticed about the scene today, I think, and again, I could be wrong, could have always been like that, but I feel like the camaraderie is really, really a lot stronger amongst comics. I feel like there's a lot more tighter knit groups out there that are supporting each other. And this is because I went away for a while too. I was living in North Carolina, and I guess came back maybe 4 years ago.
Okay.
And I'm seeing that the scene does seem a lot stronger, and I feel like there's a lot more camaraderie. Do you sense that as well?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's a lot bigger now, so it's a lot like groups. There's definitely more groups than there was. I mean, I remember if you were a comic on Long Island, that was it. You were a Long Island comic. That's all there is. We were talking earlier about the whole Nassau Suffolk. There is sort of like, oh, you're in this group, you're in that group. Oh, you're in Eastern Suffolk. Oh, we're on the border to Suffolk. So it's a little groupier, but not in a bad way. It's not like we're fighting each other. It's just very, okay, we have more people so we can kind of subdivide things off. But everyone's been really good. I mean, there are very few comedians that I hear who have a beef or a fight with other comedians. Is a lot more, oh, that guy helped me out. He got me a spot. I got him a spot, more harmonious, which again, I'll take it.
Yeah.
But there's more spots too. So I think that helps out because you're like, all right, years ago, if you couldn't get that one spot at the Comfort Inn, well, where were you going to go? Okay. Hopefully someone had an open mic at a bar, maybe. Now there's like 5 open mics on any given night. So you're like, I don't feel like you're my enemy anymore. Like, hey, you go here, I go there. We're all good.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I feel like there's a lot more places to perform and than there were in the past. And now out, I know what's his name? DC. What's his last name?
Benny.
Yeah, DC Benny's out here now, Southold.
Yeah, he's out in Southold. Yep. Isn't that something?
And
he's running shows out there. It's really, really funny because my friend Alex Bradley's a comic in that same town. And he's like, I live in nowhere on Long Island, and I'm still not the biggest name in my hometown. It's crazy. It's like, thank you for moving here and taking my thunder.
I love that DC Benny's out here, though, because he wants to, I think he wants to make a club out here, or he's working on it or something.
He's got, from what I understand, it's a church. It's like an old church that I don't know if he owns it or the organization that owns it, whatever it is. But he's been doing shows out of there, and yeah, he's bringing out big names. I saw was it Ben Bailey just came out. I forget who else. A lot of guys from like the Cellar coming out there, which is cool. But at the same time, I'm also like, come on, DC Benny, take some of the local talent, help us out.
That's what I'm hoping he does. Yeah, that's what I was. I think he should cater more to the local guy. I know he's got his friends. That's
Right.
the guys he came up with. He wants to bring out here, but yeah, I think spread the love to the people out here, man. But really put Suffolk County on the map.
Oh no, it's good. It gives it a good name out there. But you're always like, well, come on, bring us along, help us out a little. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I know he's got his I think his wife has a business out there and all that. There's a lot of that, after the pandemic type move too. I think a lot of people did that because I think he was living in Brooklyn or Queens or whatever, and you're living out there. And when the lockdown happened, it was like, hey, what do you want to do? Because you can't do a thing. You can't go out anywhere. You don't even have a park to walk around in,
It was scary times, man, in the beginning.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, I think a lot of people just, all right, that's done. Let's move on.
Yeah, I'm done with it. I'm like, I don't feel like ever having that crap again. That was a lot.
Yeah, man.
A lot to put on people, and you can't. And if you lived in the city, you can't even go out in your backyard. At least I had, a backyard I could go out in at the time over my mom's, and sit outside, look around, smoke a cigar, drink a scotch. Okay. World's not ending for me today.
Right. Exactly, man. But now I also wanted to get on the tattoo stuff with you.
Sure. Yeah,
because so what kind of, now you got your own tattoo club, tattoo shop out there, Black Duck Tattoos. How long now, what do you specialize in?
I mean, myself, I'm an American traditional tattooer. Like, I love that old school, 1900s all the way through to like the 70s style of, I guess the best way to describe it is if you give a kid a pencil and you draw me a tattoo, what are they going to draw? They're going to draw skulls and daggers and snakes, and that's the kind of stuff that I still like, But everyone's got their own little way of doing things. My wife does a little bit of, more of a neo-traditional, and the other guys out there do black and gray and this and that. So we try to be diverse, but yeah, I stick with that Americana style, that old school sailor style of tattooing, and
That's cool.
It's been fun. I enjoy it. I've been doing it forever, so I better enjoy it. It's not going anywhere.
Now, I always like to ask tattoo artists about the Ink Master and how I think it's a double-edged sword to show like that, because I think it makes it very popular, so it draws business, but also everyone now is an expert on tattooing.
Yeah, it was depends on who you talk to. Most people are not huge fans of those shows. Me personally, I didn't like it because when I got into it as a kid, tattooing was what I would always call the last outlaw profession. It was a real profession. You made money, but everyone looked at it like, this isn't real. That's not. Is that your real job? You don't deal drugs or no, I don't deal drugs. I tattoo. No, you got to do something else. He's a criminal, and so it was kind of cool. But people would come in, and it was very much like a seller's market in the tattoo business. You came in and whatever the tattoo artist did, his style, however it worked, that's what you got. When these TV shows came about, it made everybody an armchair expert. So now people come in and they tell you things, and I'm like, that's not real. What are you talking about? Well, I saw in the show they did a sleeve in one day and he drew it up in 10 minutes. I'm like, they cut it into, that's what happens. That's in any business. And people don't understand that. They're like, no, I want it this way. So it's definitely become more of a buyer's market in tattooing. Everybody knows everything about everything. And they're going to tell you. They're absolutely going to tell you, so you just kind of got to take it what it is. I still love it, but I miss that whole, we were in control. I mean, geez, the stuff I used to do when I was younger is insane. I used to physically throw people out of the shop, physically just launch them out the front door. I haven't done that in years. You can't do it anymore. You can't. You can get in jail.
Right. Yeah. So you got to just put up with their shit.
And the people too, like, okay, when it was back in the day and there was a problem, someone was causing a problem in the shop, they were generally somebody that wanted to throw down. They wanted to fight. Nowadays, the people that cause the biggest problems in the shop are generally the 19-year-old girl or the older Karen type mom, and they're not gonna throw a rock through your window like they used to. Now they go home and they give you a bad Yelp review. You know? And I'm like, this is great. And now I want the olden days. I really do. It was better that way. Like a bad Yelp review in 1995 was a black eye and a broken window.
Right.
I got a bad review. You did, yeah. I could tell.
Have you ever thought like of being on a show like that, or even doing your own show, like as a comedian and someone who's fast wit to do your own?
It's actually funny because it segues into this perfectly. I wasn't even going to talk about it, but I got a friend of mine, Chris, who produces a couple of different podcasts and YouTube videos, and we talked the other day. We're actually doing tomorrow, first episode. We're going to do an actual YouTube series where it's just me tattooing comics. So I'm going to, take a half hour, 45 minutes and tattoo a comic on the show, and that'll be the show. So I feel like that's kind of, because tattooing is huge. Stand-up comedy is huge. I've had so many crazy conversations sitting in my chair. Who's going to have a better conversation than another stand-up comic? And then you're tattooing them at the same time. So,
dude, that's huge.
That's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, tomorrow we're shooting that actually tomorrow night, and then hopefully I'll get a little series going and see if this works.
Who's going to be the first comic? Who do you got?
I got my buddy Joe Winchell.
I like Joe Winchell. I actually talking to him later this week as well. So that's awesome.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah. So I'll bring it up to him as well.
Yeah, see how the filming went. No, he keeps talking about he does his own podcast, the Millennial Stoner Podcast with Chris, and I've been on it, and I was like, you know what, this is what we should do, and he was receptive to it, and then I was like, well, we should have Joe on as the first guest. I mean, he wants to get Krusty the Clown tattooed on him, who. Krusty the Clown's, what's a better tattoo than that? I mean, he's literally it'll be a cartoon tattoo, but Krusty was also a stand-up comic on the show.
That's great, yeah.
Kind of, sorta. I mean, he had a kids show, but he did stand-up, so yeah, it's gonna be fun.
That was one of the tattoos I always wanted was a Fozzie Bear because he's another comedian, type of thing. But yeah, man, if you need anybody else on your show, dude, I'll volunteer my arm or leg or whatever you want. Yeah.
Yeah. If this thing takes off, absolutely. That would be awesome.
For sure.
Get a whole, good vibe on there and get people who want to come out. I feel like that's a strange moment when you tattoo somebody because it's a little bit of pain, and you put a little bit of pain on people, they'll start saying things that they would never say. It's almost like truth serum. Like I've had some people say some stuff, and I'm like, are you sure you want to confess to that? I don't think you know where you are right now, but I'll take it,
Yeah, because when you're tattooing somebody, you're almost like the bartender or like the psychologist. You're all those things in one. As you're, they're putting their trust in their trust in you as you're tattooing them, and they're at your mercy. So yeah, it's a great time to talk to people.
I don't think I think the pain takes over, and then they just start telling you stories about their life, and you're like, that's not a normal story. This is not you shouldn't tell me this, but I'm gonna keep listening because man, shit, all these years I got at least, let's see, what are we up to? 3 murder confessions under my belt. And I kid you, 3 murder confessions, and not like, oh, I went to prison for this one. Like, no. You can't tell me that. Oh yeah, uncomfortable.
They gotta know that you're not a priest, man. You're not. I
don't know. I was just raised. You know what? You keep your mouth shut, and
yeah, you're better off that way. Yeah,
I don't know. Tell my dad. I'll tell him, hey, Dad. You know what I heard today? He's like, oh yeah, that'll happen sometimes. Like, oh okay, good. Yeah. But. Kind of changing though, that business sort of changed. Now it's just young girls named Chelsea telling you about how they got a bad latte. Like, oh good.
I need another hip tattoo. Or that's the new popular spot, right? The hips now for the girls.
They just love any spot that's difficult. I want to put in the center of my chest or under my boob. Why under your boob?
Right.
Is this a secret? Are we writing secrets like your password or something underneath there? Your social security? What is the point?
What's like one of the weirdest tattoos you ever had to do?
Ah, weird. I got a strange dude came in one time, and he had the General Rommel was a Nazi general during World War II, and but he was one of those generals that wasn't necessarily a Nazi, but he was a German general. So it's a weird kind of thing with his history. Anyway, I seen it on this guy's arm, and it was really poorly done. I looked at it, I'm like, "You got Rommel on your arm, okay?" He's like, "Yeah, I need to fix it." I'm like, "Well, you trying to cover it up because you're not a Nazi?" And he's like, "No, it needs a clown nose." And I'm like, because he's a clown? He's like, "No, don't you think it needs a clown nose?" Like it was the most normal thing in the world to have a Nazi general tattooed on your arm and you needed a clown nose tattooed over. And I tried to explain, like, understand this man. I'm like, "Well, what?" And so, yeah, I drew several different clown noses until we got the right one. And then I tattooed the clown nose on him and he was like, "Oh, that's perfect." I don't know why would you want that? Like, why would you? What is that? That's probably the weirdest guy I ever dealt with. Like he came in like it was totally normal. Like, oh, that's what we all get. General clown nose, right? I don't know.
He's like, you never seen one of these before? What's going on?
Yeah, it was like, are you saying it because you don't like him because he's a clown? And he's like, no, he needs one, doesn't he? I'm like, you know, give me my money because this is crazy. You know, sure, I'll do this on you. You already have them on your arm. I don't know why, but it is your work. That was the bizarre one. I'll give it that.
How many face tat requests do you get these days? These young kids seem to love the face tattoos, and I don't get it. But
like, I mean, my arms. I have one here, you know, two on the inside. Like my arms are clean, my face is clean, my neck, and I've been doing this for since I was 13. Why do you need your face tattooed? You know, it used to be like we were saying, an outlaw profession. You got your face tattooed, you did some time, you
yeah,
murdered somebody, you were a biker, a soldier, a sailor. Now you're like, oh, I got this face tattoos because I'm a SoundCloud rapper. Like, oh, cool, great, go download my album. And it's weird, you know, I don't like doing that, but I'll do it. You know, I'll do anything as long as I know it's not going to fall out and look poorly, you know, physically. I mean, I don't think you should get, you know, whatever, Jesus eating an Oreo cookie tattooed on your face, but if you really want it, I guess we're going to do it.
do you ever try to talk them down or talk anybody out of it or out of the decision? Like say, all right, instead of putting it on your face, let's go to you. How about we put it on your arm or
Oh yeah, no, of course. I mean, there are certain nowadays it's so popular for all these young girls mostly who want to get like the side of their finger tattooed, and it doesn't look good. You look like you look like an auto mechanic with grease on your hands. You don't look like and it's one thing if you're like a rough and tumble person who works for a living and you don't care. But a lot of these girls come in and they have like their nails are nicely done, they're put together, they want this, and I'm like, you're not gonna like it. Look up what it looks like, and then they do. Most of the time they understand. You know, even some of the times they don't understand, and I go, look, you know what? I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Go down the street. It's not because of of what it is or where it is, but it's more of I know it's physically going to look like mushy and bad and blown out and terrible. You know,
and you would think they would take your advice. Like if I went to you with a tattoo idea and you were like, nah, trust me, you know, I would take your advice and go, all right, so, and then ask, what do you think I should do? And then like, listen, they should listen to the tattoo artists. These people, you know, a lot of times they come in with their own idea and it's their way or no way. And you know, and then they walk out with a face tattoo that's stuck there for their life.
They all have this notion of it's like we've lost common sense. Like they all have this notion that everyone's lying to them and that things aren't what they may be. But when you used to have that street smarts, you used to be like, okay, oh, they're trying to size me up for something. Like, I'm telling you, I don't want your money. What's the catch here? You know, like I'm literally saying, don't give me money. Now, if I turned around and said, no, that's a good tattoo, but you need to do a giant sized on your whole arm. Yeah, maybe he's trying to, scam me, but I'm not. I'm telling you, don't get tattooed by me. Don't give me money. And then they'll get mad. Well, I saw somebody else had it one time. You know how much stuff I've seen in this world? I've seen David Copperfield make the Statue of Liberty disappear one time, okay? Live on television. But guess what? It's still there. So I guess I don't know, you know.
When was the last time you tattooed a face and what'd you put on it? Do you remember?
Oh, last time I did a face. I don't remember what I did. I'm trying to think. I think I did a cross. I think I did a cross on someone's face. It's generally not like on their face here. Usually it'd be like right on the side here or like right in here. I did the little what do you call it? Not exclamation point, the semicolon. I did one of those not that long ago for like suicide awareness, the little semicolon they do. And the
Oh,
guy
right.
he did it like right in his like sideburn area. And you know, I don't agree with it. I feel like don't you just want to have a day off? You know, that's how I feel like with tattoos on your face, you're always on. You're always the guy with tattoos on your face. Everyone's got a question. At least if you don't have anything on your face, then nobody has, you know, and they don't know anything about you, or at least nothing until you tell them about you. I don't know.
Or yeah, they immediately have, or they think they've already figured you out as soon as they look at you. If
It's
they see
just like
some, yeah, with tattoos, yeah,
you're
Wait,
always that guy.
exactly. I remember one time I was at a Warp Tour, and there was that guy was there, a lizard guy with the lizard. He looks
Oh
like a,
yeah, I
and
met
he had
him
the
when I was a
split,
kid. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and he had the split tongue and all that. What's your take on those types of people who
Oh
put the
yeah,
bumps in the horns and there's a cat person, there's all these kind of
yeah. That
deformity,
Catwoman
yeah, like
do all that. I mean, I don't know. It's changed because that used to be shocking. I mean, that used to be pretty damned crazy if you saw someone with that amount of tattoos, and it still is kind of crazy. They're like the you know, the freak show of old. It's like the self-made freak show kind of thing. I think they call them geeks. I think that's the word for a geek, someone who makes himself a freak. But it's changed so much that it's not even like that anymore. You know, I mean, I went and got my car worked on not that long ago, an auto body place, and the guy had tattoos all over his face. And it wasn't like a gang member, he was just a guy. I mean, I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Years ago, they would have shunned you from every portion of society. Now you're out in public, and it's like, oh yeah, that's just Sal. He's fine. He's just, you know, an auto body guy or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel bad for those guys that made themselves into this freak show, and now it's almost like that guy could be your neighbor, and you, after about a day or two, you'd be like, yeah, whatever, lizard guy was there, gives a shit.
right, he's just the lizard neighbor. That's it.
So
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And then, like you said, you stuck with that, living that all the time. You're always on, and
yeah,
and to get those things removed is a process and painful. It's probably worse than it is getting it on. It's just
and it's not even in a negative way anymore. That's the weirdest part about it. Like, because years ago, if you had like a skull tattooed on the side of your face, you didn't get talked to. Nobody talked to you. Kids ran from you. Old ladies, you know, shrieked in horror. Now you have a tattoo on your face, and everyone's like, "Dude, that's so sick, bro. Where'd you get your tattoo?" I gotta get a tattoo, and you know, I want to know where you go. And they used to leave you alone. Now they don't leave you alone. You're the center of attention every time you go to a cash register or try to buy a sandwich. It sucks. Sucks.
it's crazy, man.
These
The
are
world
all my
is
tattoos.
yeah, but it's cool that you're doing this show now. I did on YouTube. You're gonna do your own thing,
Yeah,
tattooing
yeah.
comics. That's awesome, man.
It should hopefully work out well because it'll be just a kind of a cool thing. I don't know. I haven't figured out a good name for it yet. I mean, the shop is the Black Duck, so maybe I'll just call it the Black Duck because why not? Just double down on it. Just,
You
you know,
should. Yeah,
you need a decent name. You need something that's kind of like a fun name, but I don't know. Couldn't think of anything yet. So see what happens.
I'll spin my wheels. If anything pops up,
Yeah,
I'll text you.
absolutely.
Hey, I think the Black Duck is the way to go. You
I
know,
think so because it's got a good name. Yeah, I named it after an old rum running boat back in the day. It was this crazy rum running boat that was up and down the East Coast. These guys put it together. It had, you know, whatchamacallit, it had a smoke screen. It was bulletproof. It had a 50 caliber machine gun, poison gas. It was like the Batmobile on the ocean. And I always thought to myself, well, I don't want a tattoo shop. I want a pirate ship. And that's like a good pirate ship name. And it's worked well for us there, you know. Our little duck and crossbones logo we got. This light thing is killing me. I'm I'm not paying the rent, I swear.
Everyone loves tattoos now. That's the thing. It's the fucking. I just don't understand what the kids are doing with the tattoos because they keep getting shit tattooed that they don't fucking understand. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, for example, they always come in like, I want to get a Roman numerals tattooed on me. It's like, yeah? Can you read Roman numerals? Well, no, you could write it though, right? I'm like, no, do I look fucking Roman to you? Like, why do you need to write Roman numerals? Well, can you do like fancy like script, like real flowy script? I'm like, yeah, can you? You can't draw a script. You don't learn that shit in school anymore. Your penmanship is retarded, and you don't even use full words. It's LOL, JK, emoji, hieroglyph. You don't even use real words. Why do you want to get tattoos of lettering?
Rob White, man, thank you so much for taking the time.
You.
Tell everybody where they can find you and follow you and all that good stuff on
you can go to, I have a website which pretty much has all my information, all my tour dates, links to email, anything you need. Just go to robwhitecomedy.com and that'll take you right there. You got everything you need.
Dude, it's been a blast, man, having you on. Thanks so much. Everybody check him out. Go get your tattoos at the Black Duck Tattoo Company in Selden, and check out Rob when he's performing live. He'll be at McGuire's all over the place. And yeah, man, it's good times talking to you, man. Great to finally meet you.
Thank you as well. I appreciate it. We'll hopefully meet in person someday soon here, right?
Yes, indeed, man. That's the plan. Now come down and get some ink.
Yeah. We'll get you on the show. We'll make it
awesome. Awesome. Rob White, everybody.